Entrando em contato com o atendimento ao cliente... Para muitas pessoas é um jeito fácil de arruinar um bom dia, mas na Zendesk nós deixamos a experiência do cliente melhor. Melhor para sua avó, melhor para o seu vendedor preferido de flores, melhor para o cara do apartamento 3A, melhor para você, melhor para todos. Porque enquanto alguns dizem que o cliente sempre tem razão, nós dizemos que o cliente é sempre humano. E como seres humanos, queremos fazer algo melhor para todos nós. Zendesk, experiência do cliente com IA desenvolvida para humanos.
Universal Studios has a gay night. And neither Robert nor I knew about this.
Neither
and
nor.
According to someone I know who went, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Nintendo World were open right here on RulaskaThoughts. Oh, Sniper Girl. I wanna take you to Nintendo World and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Your boyfriend taken, you could not get any hotter. Cue the sniper. Would you, because I know you're a big Harry Potter nerd, Robert. Would that turn you on if a guy you were dating took you to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter?
I do think it would be sweet, but I don't think it would turn me on. You know, thoughts of my childhood fantasies don't really get the dick rumbling.
Now, you've been to this Wizarding World of Harry Potter, correct?
Way too many times, yeah.
And as a Harry Potter nerd, do you find it, does it pass muster for you?
It's all right. I mean, it's small, you know, and it's much larger than the Nintendo World, which is truly like a mall plaza. But the Harry Potter world it's so small, but you know, it's cute to get all the little candies and the butter beer and go have a drink at the Hog's Head and blah 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 blah. Or the Three Broomsticks, is it? I can't remember which one it is, but
what does the butter beer taste like? It doesn't taste like butter, does it?
It tastes like butterscotch.
Oh,
but the thing that I love about Universal Studios, unlike Disneyland, is that it lets you buy tall boys of beer and walk around the park with them all willy-nilly. So by the time I'm over in Harry Potter World for the evening, I'm already several Coronas in.
Well, I gotta say, so you can buy alcohol at California Adventure.
Yeah, but what else is there to do there?
Two, there are certain places you can buy alcohol in Disneyland.
The Blue Bayou, I just went there somewhat recently and had the worst food of my life.
Cantina, you can also buy it. Anyway, but the thing is, look, I just saw a video of two chunti people being escorted out of the park because they were drunk. Right?
Which is fair and valid.
Last Thursday, I was there for Disneyland for Fitness. And as I was walking through Galaxy's Edge, which I prefer to call Star Wars Land. I don't buy into this IP bullshit, but I just called it that. So yeah, I just called it Galaxy's Edge. So I don't know.
But I'm also not a Star Wars fan, so I don't know if that's offensive.
You know, it's funny that you say this. I'm actually, believe it or not, and I'm actually one of these people who hates when people do this, but I'm actually going to do it. There's an idea I have that I don't want anyone to take, but it involves Star Wars. It's not making it right in a Star Wars movie or anything like that. It's explaining something kind of complicated through the lens of Star Wars to make it more digestible.
Okay.
And, I don't know why you brought that up. What did you say about Star Wars? Oh,
well, you were on your fitness walk through Galaxy's Edge / Star Wars Land.
My fitness walk through Star Wars Land. And the whole time through Star Wars Land, there was this young chunti family behind me.
A whole family of chuntis?
Oh, girl, you know a girl. As someone who goes to Disneyland 2 times a week, our people, it's never just the mom and the dad and the 2 kids. It's the tias, it's the grandmas, it's the uncle. It's a whole fucking thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway,
I've been a part of that brigade once or twice. Those are fun days.
Yeah. So anyway, but this is, you know, it's so funny as you get older, and I'm sorry to tell you this, Robert, you're probably in this age group now too. When you see the young chunti mom, you know, who's probably 22 or something.
Half my age.
Yeah. And she's like, anyway, so she was, this is my impression on the conversation that I heard. She and the baby daddy are no longer a thing, but they were playing nice to bring the kids to Disneyland. Okay.
Mm-hmm. My cousins have done this.
Okay. And so the girl, I just heard her going, do it. right? And let's see what happens when we go home. And llévatela a tu... I can't say it right. I can't put those words together. Llévatela a tu chingada, right?
Okay, Valentina's
fighting.
in the house.
Yeah. I know, seriously, Valentina, with my accent there. I know. I can't pull off the accent with saying that, and then those words are hard for me to say. But anyway, the Spanglish with the do it, you know, and I was like, that's why you can't have alcohol. This is why we can't have nice things, and I'm gonna say it right here, and it's because of Mexicans.
I can have nice things.
Did you see that article that's been causing all this uproar in left circles?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mama, but you're gonna have to be just a touch bit more specific than that.
It's from The Atlantic. And the premise is essentially that rich people, and I think maybe in particular rich white people, prefer quiet.
Okay.
And that poor people, particularly poor people of color, love noise pollution. And that the more you move your station up in life, the more you prefer quiet.
You know, I feel like I have heard this theory before. More so in the case of like child rearing, but that makes sense that it would follow suit.
Well, it's interesting because it's causing all this uproar. Like, oh my God, that's classist. And people get all mad. I don't know.
Aren't you into brown noise yourself?
Yeah, but yes, when I sleep. And actually, to get me to sleep, I have a whole YouTube playlist. To get me to sleep, I shouldn't say watch. I listen to, but it's on my TV. Some sort of documentary about the Gnostic Gospels. Man, that thing, I've never made it past 5 minutes. I don't know what happened to this documentary after 5 minutes. And then it goes into a brown noise video that's like 12 hours or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's what I wake up to.
That's a lot of blue light in your eyes, Mama. I'm a little worried.
I know, I don't like it. Actually, last night it woke me up and I had to, what I did, and I think I might do this, is I opened up my Calm app and I did one of those sleep breathing exercises. And then they have, which I don't know why I don't just use this, because my man, Alan Sklar, I just put him on reading a passage from Walden.
Lovely.
She's asleep. She's asleep within 5 minutes.
Oh, you transcend, but
she
in a different way.
In my little cabin with my by the lake.
So peaceful with your.
Is a forbidden word around here right now.
Oh, I didn't know that. Should I have warned everyone like Vanjie? Like, I just want to let everyone know I will be using the T word.
Anyway, Robert, did you hear that they released some unreleased footage from the judging panel with this Ruta Lee?
Oh, I love Ruta.
Yes. And
so soft-spoken.
Here, let me play it right here.
My favorite part, Vanjie, was when you warned everybody that you're going to use the N-word. And I really did think you were going to say
I think knowing Ruta's age, I think she might have thrown that word out there a few times in her youth herself.
Well, did you see on Reddit somebody was having a fucking conniption fit because... What?
I'm reacting.
Oh, because they did some digging and Ruta Lee is a Trumpette and like super Republican.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. No,
well, there you have it.
Well, here's the deal. I will say, in fairness, then a fight broke out in there because people were asking for receipts and the OP was not really giving good enough receipts. So I don't know how valid this is that Ruta Lee is actually a Trump supporter. But is anybody surprised?
No. I would love to review her digital footprint, though, and it gags me that a fight broke out in a Reddit forum. That's crazy.
Girl, they fight about everything.
Those girls.
Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if we found out that, like, Ruta Lee, ratted out people who went to a communist meeting.
Oh, my God. That should not be funny.
Did you know? Did you know who Ruta Lee was?
Of course not. I had no fucking clue, and I expected you to know. No. So when you came onto the podcast, I was like, and told Taylor that you had no idea who she was. I was like, "Are you serious, Joe? What else do you know? Old school, old timey references for? If not Ruta fucking Lee."
Everyone's talking about what an icon of the golden age of Hollywood she is. And I'm going to say two things. One,
revisionist
if I don't know
history.
who you are, you're not an icon of the golden age of Hollywood. Okay. Two, I'll be honest with you. She's not. Like, she came in sort of in the mid to late 50s. I'm going to say golden age of Hollywood. You're looking at early to mid 30s to the early 50s. Like, I feel Debbie Reynolds is sort of like the end there of golden age of Hollywood. And also, I'm going to tell you something. I did some fact checking. And I even asked AI. She wasn't in any fucking movie with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. or anything like that.
Oh, I thought you said that she was like doing a show of some kind.
I thought she said that she was a leading lady to them.
Huh.
I'm telling you, this rude. She called rude a lie. I don't think she was telling the truth.
Well, if she doesn't pass the Joe Batan's test,
No,
obviously she's
I don't think
nothing
she
of
did.
the sort.
Yeah, I think. You have to be. You have to have somehow like. Yeah, there was nothing on there that was just because you're old doesn't mean.
Do you know what I know Debbie Reynolds from primarily?
Will and Grace.
No, not even. Halloween Town.
What did she do in Halloween Town?
She was the grandma.
Oh yeah, there was that era. Yeah,
That era, the Disney Channel original movie era.
No, when she would just do anything.
Well, it's iconic for people of a certain age.
So is the movie Cool Runnings. All right, guys, we're gonna take a break. And do you like the movie Cool Runnings?
I don't know her.
You don't know the movie Cool Runnings?
No, sorry.
Hocus Pocus?
I hate Hocus Pocus, I gotta say.
A lot. What do you do?
But I know it.
A lot of the gay millennials. And I know you're on the cusp, but
No, I'm pretty millennial.
how are you
Centric.
millennial coded and not liking Hocus Pocus?
I as a kid, it never did anything for me. They'd put it on at daycare, and I'd be like, "No, put Barney back on. Put fucking something else on." Not
Do
the
you have
Teletubbies
a connection
stuff.
to the Teletubbies? We got into this last week, and Taylor.
No,
was,
I felt like it was always just half an inch below the surface. I don't care about the Teletubbies. Again, I was a Barney kid, so I wanted, sing and dance and gay shit, not Teletubbies with little vacuums like sucking up their booties and doing weird shit with the sun
wasn't
baby.
Like the baby, the sun, or something like that.
It was just so wrong. All of it was just so awful and plain, and it looked like the Windows XP background, which I even knew before Windows XP came out, and it just was not entertaining to me at all. I would much rather go watch Pokemon at that age, and even now, actually.
No, I want to say Pokemon on this show. All right, we'll be back. Right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We're talking about the episode. I want to hear Robert's thoughts on. By the way, Robert copied all his thoughts from our show today. He's going to do them in honor of Gottmik.
Chegou a melhor parte do podcast. É hora de provar a melhor Coca-Cola. A Coca-Cola sem açúcar. O sabor irresistível da Coca-Cola, sem açúcar e igualmente refrescante. Coca-Cola sem açúcar. A melhor escolha.
Pausa rapidinho agora para falar de dica de ouro para os papais e mamães. Depois de experimentar a nova Hug Supreme Care Fralda Roupinha, tudo ficou ainda melhor pro meu filho. É a única com canais em X que se adaptam aos movimentos, com 2 vezes proteção noturna e cintura elástica que se adapta ao corpinho do bebê, além de ser super fácil de colocar e tirar. Praticidade pura. Então guarda essa dica. Nova Hug Supreme Care Fralda Roupinha. Bebê, estamos juntos nessa, mais do que nunca. Agora curta seu podcast.
And we're back. All right, Robert Mata. First, before we get into any drama, before we get into Ruta Lee, before we get into Gottmik, before we get into any of this, what did you think of just the episode as a whole? Like, was it an entertaining episode for you? Did you like it? What were your thoughts?
I think this is the episode that most closely resembled your AI rundown of what the episodes were going to be like, and that includes
the AI did this episode.
You took it right out of my mouth. That's exactly what happened. Every joke was written by AI. Every performance was done by AI. It was all ChatGPT. Drag Race GPT. So I guess it was.
Girl, you know that's going to be an episode next year. Drag GPT.
How? What kind of challenge is that?
Girl, don't put it past them. It's going to be Drag GPT. For this week's main challenge, using AI, you have to come up with a cast of characters, a script, and then later on it'll be like, oh, and one more thing. Using AI, you have to create an AI song to my new song. Tranny Chaser 2. I don't know what she's
is the sequel everyone's waiting for sure.
If she had balls, she would do Tranny Chaser 2.
It would be a gag, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a good gag, but
I was
people would be
talking to a
gagging.
straight guy today.
Oh, gag.
And we were talking about, which is funny because a straight guy who works in musical theater, very weird. And I don't know if you know this. Are you familiar with the musical Cats?
Yeah, not intimately, but yeah.
Okay, but you know it exists. And this musical Cats is so fucking corny, right? But someone, and I'm actually jealous they thought of this. It just opened up the previews last week in New York. They took it and they reimagined it in the ballroom scene.
Okay, it's for
it's called
200th
Cats
time.
Ball. Yeah. And I was talking to him about it. And this is how you know this guy is straight, not fucking around, even though he works in musical theater. He legitimately the whole time thought it was ballroom dancing.
You didn't watch Pose?
Nope, he didn't watch Pose.
No Legendary?
Paris is Burning. No Legendary.
No.
He thought it was ballroom dancing. And I don't know how we got on this.
I don't know how he auditioned and got the role and didn't understand what his hands would be doing.
No, he's not in the show.
Oh, he just
works in the musical theater business.
Oh, got it.
Anyway, and on the business side, not the actual performing side. Anyway, so you thought it was an AI written. I actually really thought you would have liked this episode. That it seemed that there was some drama, there was some roast, and the jokes weren't bad, kind of thing. It was kind of surprising.
Well, I didn't say that I liked it or didn't like it. I just kind of felt like your rant about Soylent about it. It happened. And immediately after it ended, I said, work, it's time to watch House of the Dragon, episode 1, mama. And then
People
there's some
seem very
happened.
disappointed about it.
Yeah, but this different show, different time,
This episode was supposed to be like the Red Wedding or something?
Okay, so there's this event called Blood and Cheese, named after the thieves that they were supposed to present Helena Targaryen with a choice between her 2 sons, and she points to one son, I believe the elder, or the younger, and then they kill the elder, and they tell the younger, your mama wants you dead, boy. And then they leave. She's traumatized. Everything's awful. But the point is that there was a choice made in the child who was murdered. And they took away all that, so they sort of detoothed it for the show.
Who did you find attractive on the original Game of Thrones? Who did it for you?
Only in, I'd say, seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, Jaime Lannister.
Oh.
Because not when he has his golden prince long hair, that doesn't work for me. But once he got my haircut, I was into it.
Did he get that short of a haircut?
Yeah, after he gets his hand cut off and, he's going
Jaime
through hard
Lannister.
times.
Yeah. Jaime Lannister. I don't know why for some reason I was thinking Jon Snow. Okay, sorry.
No,
Jaime
I don't
Lannister.
care for Jon Snow.
Oh, that guy is so fucking basic.
So that's the only one I have, really, because the rest of the cast just did not. I know you and Rob Stark, could go to town, but
Rob Stark,
your little George's obsession of late.
No, I always had the George's obsession, but I feel like George's has gotten hotter. Look, I look.
Little Chunti character was camp as shit. I loved it, but I thought she could have gone a little farther.
Well, I think she should have kept trying to be Butch.
A little bit more. She didn't even do when she walked out acting Butch, and then she said she was going to go to the mic and immediately say, "Hey." She didn't even do that.
Okay. So now let's get to the controversy. Let's get to the moment. Let's get to it. Gottmik. Almost immediately, people recognize her jokes as being stolen from Nikki Glaser because Gottmik, for whatever reason, decided to copy the jokes from probably one of the most popular viral comedians in the roast world, Nikki Glaser.
Especially right now. Not that she could have known that, but,
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on it when you heard about this drama and whatnot?
So I definitely giggled to myself for a long while because I think this is what's great about being an afterthought. You get some tea before some actual tea happens. And in this case, as soon as I heard that Gottmik stole her notes from Nikki Glaser, who you have said, I believe once or twice before, is known for stealing jokes, I was cackling because I had no idea where the jokes originate and if it even matters. Because if Gottmik stole them from Nikki stole them from who knows. It's just there is no ownership in the joke kingdom these days. I don't know. But I also don't love the fact that you have been vindicated in your several rants about Gottmik not being funny, and I refuted that last week, and I was wrong. I was wrong, girl. I was wrong.
Look, she's not funny. And this is not surprising to me. Like, because there's never been a time where she's been funny. There's a couple of things I'm going to say. One, she's never been funny just on her own, just being funny. Right? Like, say what you will about Vanjie. Vanjie just in talking has been funny. Maybe not all the time, but she's been funny.
If I could understand what she was saying, I think she'd be a lot funnier.
Two, the way she's such a sycophant with these other queens that she gloms onto on whatever season she's on or whatever she's doing. To me, I don't think that kind of personality doesn't jive with someone who's just really funny. I feel like a person who's really funny is a person who, I don't know, follows their own path, is not such a follower. I could be wrong, though.
I feel that probably not definitively, but I can see that being a common trend among funny folk, yeah.
Because I think a funny person wouldn't be afraid, not necessarily they have to be offensive, but they're not afraid to put themselves out there. And I feel like someone who so easily wants to hide behind bigger personalities like Candy Muse or Violet Chachki or Vanjie wouldn't have what it takes to actually be funny or make really funny roast jokes. But that's the thing is, so like everyone should know, I did forget to mention this. The joke she made about the cast of Glee gangbanging her is a Lisa Lampanelli joke.
I saw that too.
Yeah. And, but for the most part, like it's just very ballsy to take the most recent jokes of a comedian who there's probably a like it's not like she even went and dug deep, like I'm saying.
It was one YouTube video.
Yeah, it was one YouTube video.
She bust out one sweat and she said, fuck, that's so gorge. I got it. And then she called it a day.
And then her response was weird, which it was like, did you think other people wrote their jokes? And it was like, well, this isn't about who wrote the joke. It was, but that you stole them, right?
Yeah.
And then 3, did you see that Reddit response that was really funny where they took her same tweet and just twisted it to be like to a professor for copying an essay?
Oh, well, I mean, now is not the time to be fucking around and like with plagiarizing with while the youth are all flutter about it all the time because of ChatGPT. It's like you hit them where it hurts, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's just it's funny to see how it's still going on Reddit. I still think she's going to weather the storm. Like I said, she already had enough goodwill. It's probably going to wipe out a lot of her reserve, but she'll weather the storm. But it's embarrassing to say the least. I wonder, Nikki Glaser hasn't commented, has she?
No, but I imagine she probably has something else to do other than come up with a personalized roast of Gottmik.
I know. Apple's been doing this weird thing. I made this really funny. Let me see if they put it up yet. I made this really funny. I thought it was funny. People who are on Patreon probably don't know that I make a custom cover art for every episode. But lately, Apple hasn't been posting it right away. Did you get it when you saw it? No, see, it's not there. And I know it was there. And I don't know why, or they do it much later. Like the one from last week came up let me see if Spotify has it. Okay. So Robert, let's take this piece by piece here.
Okay.
So far, now that you've watched this episode, oh no, he's on Spotify. The cover's on Spotify. It's just not on Apple for some reason. I photoshopped Nikki Glaser doing a roast and then Gottmik like looking at her from a corner.
Well,
Anyway,
I mean, how do I put this? It's not that it's unfortunate that Gottmik got caught with her hand in the cookie jar, but you cannot tell me that Plastique had any input whatsoever into a single millisecond of her set.
no, none of them did.
I feel like
Andrews isn't
Roxy
funny.
sounded like Roxy's.
Plastique's jokes were too good. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I was a little jealous of the Georges joke. I was a little not the Georges joke to me was the best written joke of the night.
Is that the burp one?
That's the burping one.
That was, I think, Roxy.
Oh, that was Roxy?
I think so.
Who's the one that had the Scientologist hiding in Michelle's vagina?
That was Plastique.
That's not bad either.
No, but there's no way in hell Plastique wrote that.
No, they didn't write these. No.
If Plastique ever had a shred of like verbal acuity, she would give that in her talking heads and confessionals. But Miss Girl doesn't provide shit ever.
But that's what I'm saying about Gottmik in general. What I'm saying though is, here's what I'm saying. I disagree with Taylor. I don't think the producers handed them the jokes because they were wildly inconsistent. They didn't seem like the same writer. Everyone seemed like they had their own writer. But I do think that the girls had their friends or called up, other drag queens who are funny or got someone to write the jokes.
That's why I think Bob's opened the set. It was a very soft, deft way of basically saying Bob's responsible for almost this entire
Probably
show.
What did you think of Bob's little appearance there? Are you a
I
big
agree
Bob
with
the Drag Queen
Taylor.
fan?
I'm a huge Bob the Drag Queen fan. Probably less so than I was coming off of season 8, if only because the shtick has kind of stayed the same. But I'm still a big fan. I did not love how it all hinged on the bus still running. I've never found it funny. It's always been
Did you know the origin
bad.
of the joke? We didn't.
No, I don't. I remember. I think it just comes from Rue saying it, trying to mimic like the girls he saw in New York, because I remember Shangela used it in her professional song.
Well, Rue does have like these weird inside jokes that she turns into her actual, that she just works into her everyday vernacular. I don't know if that's the word, but like for instance, I mean, she's told the story in her podcast, the origins of She Done Already Done Had Hers is,
At Checkers.
Yeah, she was at somewhere and these two black girls were fighting and she thought it was funny that one of them said that about something, right?
One tried to take their food from the counter and the worker said, no, She Done Already Done Had Hers is.
Yeah, so I'm sure that the bus still running. Is there some sort of like origin story like that?
That's what I've always taken it to be.
Yeah, some sort of like RuPaulism, and that they just work it in. Anyway, okay. Any other thoughts on the big episode there, Robert?
I think listening to the podcast, I don't mean to be so reactionary, but I feel like you guys did not give Roxy her flowers, and I think that her roast was
for what?
For stepping up her comedy game. Honestly, the jokes did to me call me a fool. I guess I'm not even a stan, but I am a fan. It sounded like Roxy wrote those jokes, and I thought she delivered them pretty well.
I
thought she should have won.
Roxy wrote those jokes?
Yeah, way more than I thought Plastique or Gottmik or. I think Nina's was believably Nina. I think Roxy's was believably Roxy. Vanjie's was believably Vanjie, although unfortunately she was mumbling a lot of it, so I couldn't understand most of what she was saying. She's just, really running her mouth too quickly.
I don't think Roxy wrote the joke, but what I will give you,
I may need to go rewatch.
What I will give you is, if she did, she ran them by Alaska or one of her funny friends.
Sure.
Who helped her put a sheen on it or structure it correctly or, did an edit or something.
Okay.
That's the most I'll give you.
To that point, and to Gottmik and to the outrage on the whole, we are well aware that outfits are not designed and tailored and created by the vast majority of the queens, and we've rendered that fine. We can grouch about it, but ultimately, that's not a demerit for the queen in question. So why are the jokes suddenly now the sacred cow?
Well, look, here's the thing that I mentioned this on the show. I mean, that's why I didn't have a problem with the queens not writing their jokes. What I will say, and anytime you talk to anybody, whether it's Evie or anybody, they're always like, well, that's reality TV. But I'm like, it's stupid. When what I'm saying is that, like, just the show does all these different backflips to hide the fact that the queens don't sew their dresses or don't write their jokes or whatever, and yet will often tip their hand and show that the queens didn't write their jokes or didn't make their dresses or whatever. And it's like, why not just be honest? You know, I've given credit where credit is due before, but I know there's another podcast called All Right Mary, and they're the ones who have said that when the queens walk down the runway, put the designer on there, you know, on the bottom of the screen or on a chyron or something, and give the doll the credit that they deserve for designing that outfit and putting it together. I don't know why the show tries to pretend that these girls sewed that outfit or that they wrote their jokes.
Well, I think the straight audience and people who aren't as well acquainted with Drag Race, they are voting for Drag Race in the Emmys probably because they think that it's even more challenging than it is, as if the queens create everything the day of.
Let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest. I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not.
I tend not to.
I think most of the time, this show wildly does not deserve the Emmys it gets. And there's a lot of virtue signaling on the part of the Emmy voters who have not seen one frame of the show, but they want to seem with it. So they vote for the gay show or they vote for the gay host simply because they want to seem like they're cool.
I mean, we've seen some of the worst seasons of this show get rewarded.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And then you see Candy Muse crowing like, I don't know, shut the fuck up. We want an Emmy. You didn't.
Oh my God.
Where's your Emmy?
You mean
like, okay.
Candy, quote, Emmy winner, unquote, Muse?
Does she really say that?
That was her Twitter headline thing for quite some time.
Exactly. Which the cast members don't get an Emmy, do they? No.
No. But they are invited to attend. I think sometimes.
There was some woman around Emmy season last year who, and she was like a way below the line person, but she had won an Emmy. Ruta Lee made a TikTok like a year ago, right before the Emmys, that especially if you're below the line, like a show gets, and you probably know this, a show gets only so many Emmys.
Yeah.
But if you win and you're not like, the executive producer or the showrunner or something, you can buy the Emmy.
Mm-hmm. You can get it engraved with your name.
Yeah. But it's very expensive. And these people don't make a lot of money. It's as most things are. The people who make the most money are the ones who get it for free.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't know why I wanted to say that.
I don't remember how much the Emmy was to get made, like a little statuette. For some reason, something in my head is ringing off. It was only $750 last year.
I think it is $750. Yes, you're right.
That's not that expensive for.
No, but what I'm saying, I think what this girl's point is that that's a lot of money because she lived in like a tiny apartment or something like that. And
sure, I'm staring out at mine right now.
Do you have an Emmy for what?
No, my apartment.
Oh, I want to retell one of my favorite stories ever. I think the first night I ever met Robert's friends, we were all at High Tops.
This is such a stupid story.
And I go to the bar with Christian to get a drink. And he goes, doll. Do you see that guy over there? One of Robert's friends. He's an EGOT. I'm like, he's an EGOT. And by the way, he's like...
He's my age. He's 30.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he would be very accomplished if he was an EGOT by this point. He goes, he's an EGOT. And I go, he's an EGOT for what? She goes, he's some sort of like dancer or actor or something. He didn't even know what he did, right? And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the next day or whatever, I talk to Robert and I go, is so-and-so an EGOT? And you were like, no. He has an Emmy, correct?
Yeah, he has an Emmy.
Yeah.
Which I always clarify the next point, and I sound like an asshole when I do it, so I'm trying to stop myself, but I know what you're going to say. You don't have to say it. I genuinely can't stop myself.
I know what you're going to say.
It's a daytime Emmy. Which I'm not turning my nose down at that or up at that or in any which direction about that. I feel like because usually the first question then is, oh, well, what show was he in? Was he in like Game of Thrones or something? And I'm like, no, girl, it was like Days of Our Lives or something.
Well, this is a good question. If let's say you did get a Grammy and an Oscar and a Tony, but the Emmy is a daytime Emmy, are you still an EGOT?
I think so. I think that is the case. And I think that's the case because like some people have like, for instance, and I don't know, maybe this will start conflict But I think you could still be an EGOT if you got like a Latin Grammy.
Oh, really?
'Cause it's
you know
still
what's
a
so funny?
Grammy.
You know who coined the term EGOT?
Viola Davis.
No, it's actually no. That makes more sense. He was the co-star on Miami Vice, Philip Michael Thomas, and he did this like cracked out interview, and he said he wanted to be the first EGOT winner. No one had ever said this before. And the reporter was like, "EGOT, what are you talking about?" And then he said, "I want to be the first person who gets an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. That's what I want to be." And that's where the term came from. That's when they realized like cracked out random ass people like Rita Moreno already had one or something, you know?
Yeah. Well,
And,
don't talk shit on Rita Moreno in front of me.
Are you a big Rita Moreno fan?
I mean, she just reminds me of my grandma a lot. But the Tonys happened yesterday. Those made no noise whatsoever.
You know what's so funny? You say that. I was talking to this John Paul. He goes, "Oh, the Tonys are tomorrow." And I go, "Oh, what shows are nominated?" I didn't know any of the fucking shows. I didn't know what he was talking about.
Cats, the 58th reboot.
Yeah, no, not even that. I wouldn't have known that. It was like, "You don't know The Outsiders?" I was like, "What? The Outsiders?" No, I didn't know that was a musical.
Oh, the Broadway Queens.
There was one called like Stereophonic or something, and I think that's not even a musical. I think it's a play. I don't know what any of this shit is. I don't know what it is.
Well, if they could air or dare or whatever, if they could just bring more plays to LA so that I could get some fucking culture. I can't be flying to New York every time I need to see.
There are a ton of plays in LA. What are you talking about?
Like at the Pantages, I could see The Lion King 2 months out of the year, I guess. What else is going on?
Girl, what about the Mark Taper? Girl, you don't have to talk off the air. This is ridiculous. There's a ton of theater in Los Angeles.
Well, then tell me a little bit. What if other people are in the same uncultured swine pigsty that I'm in right now?
I'm going to tell you something. I actually saw last week. It's called The Hope Theory, and it's at the Geffen Playhouse. And it's a one-man play, but it's a magic show. And I went with John Paul.
That's so you. That's so you.
I went with John Paul. And what's funny is John Paul goes, "Oh, every time I go to one of these magic plays, they always choose me as a volunteer."
Interesting.
And I go, "Okay, well, that's weird, but whatever. We'll make sure it doesn't happen." Or I don't know, something, right? So you walk into this play and they make you take a number. And I'm not going to give too much away this play away, but they make you take a number like you would like a deli counter.
Okay.
And then we had assigned seats. And so we have this number and we have the assigned seats. And our assigned seats are in the most awkward, they're great seats, but like in a way that if you're a performer, you're not going to call someone from there as a volunteer. It'd take forever to get out of the row and all this stuff. So I told him, I go, "Look, you're safe. Nothing's going to happen." And then they do the bit with the number, the calling number, and we don't get called. Our numbers don't get called. So I go, "Jump, look, you're safe. No number gets called, nothing, you're fine." Jump, I was like, "Oh, okay, good." And then the very last trick, Robert Mata, the magician gives a stuffed animal to some in the audience.
I thought we couldn't say that word.
Okay, you know what? You're right. To some wafy blonde boy in the audience, right? And he says, "Throw this stuffed animal anywhere you want in the theater." And he throws it in our direction, and it flies over John Paul's head, hits the head of the person behind him, and falls into John Paul's lap. And John Paul goes to hand it to the person. The magician's like, "No. It landed in your lap.
It chose you.
Please stand up, sir." And I was like, "Oh my God, motherfucking John Paul, man."
John Paul's the real Slim Shady.
Yeah, he stood up. You're right. So, yeah, I recommend, you know what, too? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to recommend an animated film that I saw last week. I didn't know anything about it.
Inside Out 2?
Yeah. Wait, I'm trying to think of a better one than that.
I actually loved it.
Oh, you already saw it?
Oh,
no, I haven't seen it yet.
No, Inside Out 2, I was seated as soon as the theaters opened.
Really? I didn't know you were a big Inside Out fan.
Oh, I loved it. The first one. Had lots of critiques, obviously, but overall, I loved it.
No. It's called Robot Dreams. If you can, it's going to be on Apple TV soon, right? It's coming soon, but
that has nothing to do with Electric Sheep.
No. It's not Blade Runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, Robot Dreams. I saw the trailer, and I legitimately thought it was just the trailer makes it seem like it's this like fun romp about a robot and his friend. Girl, it is so much more than that. It was about relationships and all kinds of stuff. The audience was sobbing. I didn't go there, but I was a little misty-eyed. I will say that. I was a little misty-eyed, especially what's going on in my life right now. And yeah, so I highly recommend Robot Dreams. Either you see it in the theater or you see it on Apple TV.
What an interesting call out in a time where people can't see other people's Twitter likes, and now you have to make your new media obsessions clear.
What do you got going on next week, Rob? Are you excited about the next episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Season 9?
I thought you were going to say House of the Dragon. Is it a acting challenge is next?
You know, I saw the preview. I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
Well, also, I know the music has started, but just to touch on the show one more time. Did you notice how upset Angeria looked the entire roast?
Yes, and she kept looking at RuPaul.
Oh, do you think it was because of the Vanjie N-word joke?
No, just they kept cutting the shots of her, and she would because the way she was seated at this part, she would have to crane her neck and look at RuPaul. It was very strange.
Yeah, and her leg was sticking out all awkwardly, and I was. What's been going on with my girl?
Are you a big Angeria Paris and Michaels fan?
I'm not a massive one, but I'd say she's. I'm a fan. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you know, and I like to echo you. I don't understand at all why she was voted the most delusional, because nothing the camera has shown us has told us that. So. I'm as confused as everyone else.
All the queens thought it was a unanimous vote.
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need some illustrations.
Yeah, where are the Roscoe's videos when you need them?
I think those are dead.
Are they really?
Well, I haven't seen a rundown.
What's funny is I love that they went to a subscription model. Are people really subscribing to that?
I mean, someone must be. I can actually message Naisha Lopez on Grindr. She comes up fairly often in my area. Could ask her for the tea.
She do it for you, this Naisha Lopez?
No, otherwise I would have said I used to hook up with Naisha Lopez, but
no, you wouldn't.
Yeah, you're right. I don't kiss and tell usually.
Because there's somebody. Oh, I know who it is. I think it's you. Aren't you the one? I'm not gonna say who it is, but there's some sort of
who fucked an EGOT.
No, but I feel like you fucked an influencer from way back when. Am I wrong about this?
It's been known to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as much as you're getting.
Oh, I know who it is. I'm just not saying it.
Oh, well, tell me when the camera's off so I can confirm or deny.
It was Lohanthony.
Could you imagine? That's so you, though. You and your weird, David Archuleta thirst. Lohanthony would slot right into that if he wasn't some crazy... Christ.
No, you know what? I've
person.
seen him as the Christ person. He's doing. Maybe he cut his hair. He's doing some weird ass thing with his hair.
Well, who isn't?
So you don't see the David Archuleta thing?
Not at all. And one of my most recent exes had a huge thing for David Archuleta, and I was very much not understanding how the Venn diagram of his interests involved me and David Archuleta.
Here's the thing. I've said this before, okay? And this is there's a lot of things I don't like about myself. Like, for instance, I actually hate that I'm into. I hate it. I really wish I wasn't. I wish I was not. I was talking to. Wait, maybe I shouldn't say that. I was talking to. I was talking to a friend the other day who was at a sex club, right?
Party.
And he was telling me a story about how he saw this guy that was very attractive. He said, Joe, he was super attractive, very my type, and like the standard Robert Mata type, except he didn't like him short like you, but imagine your type of tall.
So square.
Yeah. And he goes, he was so attractive, and I was kind of eyeballing him, and he's all, much to my chagrin, he didn't say it that way though. The guy was only into old, fat, bearded men. Right?
Where is this going?
So I said, let me ask you this question. If I went to a sex club right now, could I get people? And he goes, oh, 100%, 100%. He goes, but not the people you would like.
Well, you never know.
That's true. You never know. Look, I'm telling. Oh, I don't think I had this conversation. There was somebody I was talking to, and this person listens to this show, so he's gonna know. No, he said it. He said it, right?
Okay.
But I was talking. Oh, I think I brought this up on a show. I never got to finish it. So I have this new thing now. I don't know how I'm gonna accomplish this, and maybe you might know how to do this, right? I don't think it's possible. I really don't. I don't think it's physically possible. But I actually really think that my belly, all right, is sexy.
Yeah,
okay?
A lot of people would think that.
But I'm on this health kick, and I'm really trying to be healthy and lose weight, and I'm losing weight. And like the only thing I would really change is I wanted to firm up. I want to be like you and skip leg day and only do buys and arms, chest.
You're so nasty.
And build up that part of it, but I wish there was a way I could lose weight everywhere else but keep the belly, right?
Sadly, girl, I'm here to tell you that you cannot choose where the weight is lost.
I know. So, anyway, so I was talking to this guy, and at first I just said, I'm going to have to lose the belly. Or something. I think he's like, no, or something like that. He's all like, no, I love it. I love it. Please don't. I that's what I love. Please keep it.
Okay.
And so I know there are people who I am attracted to who do think that way. But anyway, so that he goes, yeah, it's going to be guys that you don't like older, fat, bearded men.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily true. But also, if you decide to take your fitness journey very far, then eventually you can get on steroids and you can get that belly back, baby.
You get the belly back from steroids?
Yeah, the swollen stomach belly is like a telltale sign of steroid use, as well as the oversized shoulders and the traps and the back knee and the hair loss and the anger and the small balls.
I don't want to do that stuff. So the point is,
the heart disease.
I wish I was into them, right? So but the one thing I think that's good, I will say this: once you get in, right, so that I'm attracted to you.
Okay.
My attraction ages with you. It's not like I'm not Leonardo DiCaprio, right? It's not like you turn 25 and I lose interest.
Good for that.
I will think you're hot until you're 60, 70 years old, right?
Well, you don't know that either yet.
So far, look, the person, I don't want to say who it is because it's on a public feed. There's a person who I know who's pushing 50 that I used to hook up with in college. Mm-hmm. And I still think he's very hot.
Yeah.
So,
well, did you ever hook up with someone 10, 20 years your senior?
No,
and
girl.
Have you seen them now?
When I was 22, I hooked up with a 27-year-old, and I thought I was really hooking up with an old person.
I remember thinking like that.
Yeah. And anyway, the point I'm making is maybe David Archuleta just isn't hot anymore, but I was attracted to him when he was more twinky. Mm-hmm. Because I'll be honest with you. Seeing him lately in pictures, he's looking like my cousins. And I'm like, that's not attractive. And then, but I say that, I don't mean that in an attractive way. He's kind of just looks like if I'm being honest, a basic Chicano man.
Yeah.
But I still want to have crazy mad sex with him. Mm-hmm. Especially...
No, there's more.
Yeah, remember that whole thing where this Twinkie redheaded guy claimed he had slept with David Archuleta? And David
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he said in there that he only really liked Latinos. And
that's kind of a check I have to do very quickly with new guys, is I have to quickly be able to determine if they have a Latino fetish. And if I feel the answer is yes, I scurry the hell out of there.
Oh, really? So
I don't engage with that.
I know
by
people,
choice.
I'm with you as well. But I know people who they like to lean into that.
So, some people absolutely, and they take that shit crazy far. I gotta say that's not exciting or fun for me and little Robert. No.
Yeah. All right. Did we talk about Drag Race today?
I think for probably a round total of 8 minutes.
You know, it'd be so funny if I go
and even that would be generous.
What if I go in and edit all the talk about Drag Race out?
only the Patreon gets the Drag Race content.
Yeah. The rest of the show is just not Drag Race.
Talking about Jamie Lannister and how the drag race challenges should be AI. I'm kind of sad they never did a drag NFT challenge. That would have been hilariously badly aged.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Or Bitcoin or something stupid like that.
Bitcoin would be so stupid.
Wait a minute. You just made me think of something. So if you like this Nicholas Coster-Waldau, what are your thoughts on this Glenn Powell?
Well, I only liked him like he was at peak in season 4 and the whole series, they're like, he's the hottest man in the 7 kingdoms. And I was like, bitch, where? But then eventually I saw it, whatever. Glenn Powell, I absolutely believe the joke that he is a capybara that made a wish to become human. But there are some angles that I see in the marketing for that movie with Sydney Sweeney where I'm like, oh, I might be into it. And I'm kind of going through a Top Gun phase right now, and I'm going to have to watch Maverick soon, and I know he features heavily in it. So I will get back to you about my thoughts then.
You've never seen Maverick?
No, I actually just saw the first. Did I tell you this stupid story? Just
no.
Running off. When I heard one of the main things at some of the beach clubs I've been at lately were like live saxophones. And I've always that's my favorite instrument, live saxophones and 80s music, whatever. I love it. It literally turns me up like no one's business. And they were doing that and they were playing the song and I tried to capture it on my Shazam, but I couldn't fucking get it. And the first thing I did when I got home was spend 2 hours looking for that song. It ended up being the Top Gun theme, which is now currently my theme song anytime I drive. And it doesn't help that I have pilot shades and a mild obsession with young Tom Cruise. So I've watched the shit out of Top Gun in the last few weeks and I'm saving Maverick for an evening that I can properly dedicate my time and attention to it.
Maverick is very good. Tom Cruise is our last movie star. But my question for you is, what's peak Tom Cruise for you?
I mean, honestly, it now that I've seen Top Gun, I think it's right there. I thought it was, you had me at hello. I thought it was like Fatal Attraction. I haven't seen A Few Good Men.
You've never seen A Few Good Men?
Well, let me walk that back because according to my mother, that's the first movie I ever saw in movie theater. No, sorry, that was Reservoir Dogs. I'm confused.
A Few Good Men's actually very good.
I don't really like a lot of these war men in suit movies. I don't care
about
A Few Good Men
isn't a war
Brotherhood
movie.
And shit. Who cares?
No, A Few Good Men is a procedural.
Oh. Well, that's how little I know about it.
Yeah. A Few Good Men, there's no war in it whatsoever. It's a procedural. It's about a Marine dies
that sounds like war.
Guantanamo, and these 2 other Marines are accused of killing him. And Tom Cruise and Demi Moore are on the JAG team that are on his defense team.
This is You Can't Handle the Truth, right?
You Can't Handle the Truth.
Yeah. Well, I can handle that truth.
I haven't,
despite liking Tom Cruise, I haven't seen all of his films, so I have that waiting for me in life. Isn't that nice?
I would think that A Few Good Men would be your peak Tom Cruise.
Okay, well, I will put it on the list.
Yeah. Because that's even I'm not a big Tom Cruise. Here's the deal with Tom Cruise, which I think is so funny, is I see Tom Cruise. I see you, Tom Cruise. And I think he's very handsome, and I see everything. But there's something because he's so fucking weird that I see him as completely asexual.
I get it. I can't imagine having sex with Tom Cruise, for real. But he's pleasant to behold.
No, he's a beautiful man. I agree with that. But it's just I can't even imagine Tom Cruise taking a shit, if I'm being honest with you.
No, he probably, Superman, just absorbs it all directly into his body.
Yeah,
what a king.
Exactly.
What a queen.
So,
what a queen, if rumors hold.
Anyway, going back to Glenn Powell, everyone's talking about he's a movie star. I don't think Glenn Powell's a movie star, I'll be honest with you.
He doesn't really have a lot of star power.
No.
I thought that he was one of those people who kind of rolled off the NFL and tried to make a career out of being famous.
If you think about movie stars, if you think about the vast majority of movie stars, they're not conventionally attractive. Some of them are. You have your Brad Pitts and whatnot. But a lot of them aren't conventionally attractive. Movie stars often are not, almost like supermodels, they're not often very attractive. Again, there's Tom Cruise and, but is Dustin Hoffman attractive?
No.
Jack Nicholson?
I saw one or two pictures when they were young.
Julia Roberts.
Well, but I mean, if we were to have a conversation about the standard women are held to versus men, we'd be here for another hour.
You're right. I think my point was ultimately, I kind of got muddled, is I was talking...
Are you talking about the rat face phenomenon going on?
Yeah, I have something to say about that off the air. I was talking to someone the other day about how this is such a Robert Mata thing I'm going to say right now. We were talking about the concept of the shibboleth.
What do you think about me?
And I said, I don't know where this falls in the shibboleth umbrella. But when I was in college and I was trying to suss out whether someone was a closeted homosexual or not, I would ask them, what famous women do you think are hot? And using that as a gauge, I would know whether to plot my move or not.
So when I answered Lucy Liu, you're like, that's a faggot.
No, you're right. And look, it's not that straight guys wouldn't say that, but a straight guy will also throw in a random ass person that you're like,
you've never heard of.
The one chick that was in the Blink 182 video or something like that. You're like, So the gay guy would give you super obvious ones, and then also the people that men don't genuinely find like hot. Like they'll be like Mariah Carey or Kathy Ireland. And I was saying supermodels often were a telltale sign because while supermodels are beautiful, they're not often sexual beings.
Yeah.
They're just statuesque, beautiful people. Like no one's, if someone said that if I asked a guy, who do you think is hot? And they said Tyra Banks, I was sucking his dick by the end of the night, right?
Wait, I've never heard that in my entire life, but that would be the funniest answer.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But no one will doubt that Tyra Banks is a supermodel.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's why I brought up supermodels. It's not that they're beautiful, but that often that there's not a sexual thing to them.
Well, I think we've lost the plot, girl.
By the way, if you want to enjoy this stuff, go to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia.
Have you ever once made a true good plug for Patreon? Because it's always after your quote unquote sparkling banter where you guys just trade elementary barbs.
We'll see you guys next week. Patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia.